Konnichiwa, you just got your boy INCOG. Better than a rest video. What's up, guys? We're back on Ish Force channel. I came across this like a few days ago. This one it is called ranking Fate Stay Night Phantasms worst to the best. So Fate Stay Night was actually the first Fate that I actually got into the series with way back when it first came out. And obviously unlimited lay works and stuff like that.
So this is another one that's a little more off the cuff. Back on the daily grind, what's the problem? I've been seeing this on my timeline quite a bit. So we're going back to the origins. We're going to be ranking every main phantasm in Fate Stay Night from worst to best. Now I know what you're thinking. Worst to best? Clearly the answer is Excalibur, the end. No, which phantasm is the most effective in any given scenario?
Which one you guys think is gonna be the worst?
And I do
Which one you guys think is gonna be the best?
Doing the main phantasms. Maybe we can get around to doing their whole kits later. So first up, I have Rule Breaker. Now, Rule Breaker is the main phantasm of Medea. It is the embodiment of her highest abilities as a mage, which is divine level. We saw her use this against Saber and UB-Dub. Now, my thing about Rule Breaker, and the reason why I'm putting it last, is that it's not really an offensive phantasm. I can't rely on this in any given situation. The fact that it's a counter in the first place, I have to be in a specific scenario for this to even work out in my favor. In UB-Dub, you have the scenario where she just lucked out in the way that Shuro didn't really know what was going on, and he kind of sacrificed Saber in doing so. So it made it real easy for her to use it. She tried to do the same thing in the Fate route, and she was getting handled by Saber. Now granted, Saber has magic resistance, but you're not finna just go up to any servant and hit them in the chest with Rule Breaker anyway. I mean, you look at Darius, and I feel like this is one of the greatest feats with Rule Breaker. Darius, by every means of the term at that point in time, was pretty invulnerable. This dude is warping reality, popping bodies, drawing energy from alternate dimensional planes, and here you have Rule Breaker still able to stop him in his tracks, even if it was for the moment. And they had to make a very specific plan in order to make it work out. But that's the good thing about it. It breaks through conceptual defense. I can't think of too many ways that they could have answered to Darius if they didn't have that on them. Then we have Medusa's phantasm, Bellerophon. Bellerophon is kind of a weird situation because it's basically two phantasms in one. The way that Bellerophon works, she usually has to be on Pegasus. So she would also need Pegasus. From what we've seen of Pegasus as a divine beast, we know that it's incredibly powerful. It took one of the best phantasms out there to take it down. It's kind of hard to hold that against Medusa because not just any phantasm is doing that to Pegasus. On the flip side, though it's boasted to be extremely powerful, you got people like Bazette. Even though it's a class card, you got people like Bazette out here tanking Bellerophon raw. Don't get it twisted, Bazette is a goon, but that also makes me kind of skeptical. I can't lie to you. Added on with the fact that I know it takes a considerable amount of energy to bring out and keep up. Is it really worth it? They had to jump my girl Saber in Heaven's Field, and the only thing Medusa could do was incapacitate her. She couldn't even finish her. Shuro finished her. See me? I don't like those odds. Moving on over, we have the phantasm of Heracles, and that is 9 lives. So it was the phantasm that Heracles used to defeat the Fate Grand Order Arcade, right? Fate, it comes off as a style, meaning that he can do 9 hits of anything he has, whether that be sword, shield, or bow, and all of those hits are no less than the speed of sound. When you put it like that, it gets wicked. Look, there's a reason why he never used this phantasm in Fate Stay Night. The caveat that Nasu gives us is that oh, well, he doesn't have the motor skills. But you gotta think, that didn't stop Frankenstein from using her phantasm. Didn't stop Lancelot from using his phantasm. All of a sudden, you get to Herc, and it's like, but my motor skills. If Herc was actually able to use
That makes
his
no sense.
phantasm,
That's
that would
nerfing
cause
him.
so many disruptions in the story. People will be like, well, why didn't Herc defend himself? But since you have that condition there, him having his madness enhancement that high on purpose, you're willing to look the other way, and Herc is out here just surviving on raw strength. While everybody
That's
else
wild.
gets to use their shit. That's how cold Herc is. That's how cold
I never
his
noticed he
phantasm
didn't
is.
really use his
Then we saw
no
Gil
phantasm
use
in
his
that
Ultra
art.
version in Prisma Ilya, which is infinitely worse. It has a higher area of effect, and you don't even have to be close by. Even as a human, just Shiro replicating his phantasm was enough to take one of his lives. You know the real one is stronger than that. But if he can't get inside, then he's just out of luck. Since his Fate Stay Night version is restricted to his axe sword, I'm gonna leave him here. For the next one, we have Cursed Arm Hassan's Phantasm, which is Zabania, Delusional Heartbeat, works in a very similar fashion to Gaybul, where he seeks out the target's heart and straight up eliminates him by using the fake heart and crushing it. Although I don't really like to count these wins in Hassan's favor, at least when he does the phantasm, it actually works. When he used it on Ku, it worked. When he used it on Tristan,
What about
it worked. The only
what's
reason
called
it
Saber?
didn't work on Kirei is because he wasn't alive. Otherwise, he would have lost too. When No Name Assassin used it in Strange Fate, same phantasm out here giving people the smackdown. It's not even hers. You have Ku Cullen's Gaybul, which as we know, allows him to reverse causality or straight up take them out the game. Due to the reasons that align in the way that Ku moves throughout the story, we don't really get to see the best of his phantasm. Every time he uses his phantasm, oh, well, it just happened to not work. So while I know that Gaybul is a good phantasm, I can't rank it high for that reason. He tried to use it against Saber.
It didn't work.
He has bad luck, she has good instinct. He
Yeah.
tried to use it against Hassan. Oh, well, he has the shadow, so he gets his off quicker. He actually used
This boy
it
Ku
against
and
Emiya. And Emiya just
man,
straight
he
up
did
tanked
not
it.
have the best of luck
miss
at
me
all.
with that nonsense. So, although it is an extremely powerful phantasm, the only times that we do see it work is kind of a bad position for it working. It feels like the only time where we see it work is when he used it on himself. The disrespect is insane. You have the double KO with Bazette, which she's human, it's the least that you could do.
Right.
And then we seen Miyu use it against Herc back in Prisma Ilya, and it was more of just a finishing blow, if anything. And at that point, it's less about the phantasm's effect and more so, well, that could have worked with any strong phantasm, going by the base strength of the weapon at least. It's really unfortunate because the story flat out tells us that he can use this up to 7 times without having to recharge. But if you out here getting tanked and missing and everything else, then what good does that do me? Ultimately, I would have to edge this out over Delusional only because of the amount of uses, and even if he does miss, he still lands the curse. Like, he still cursed Saber. If Hassan misses his phantasm, he just misses. So at least there's that. And there is the case where Miyu used it against Dark and Medea.
What?
And
This girl
straight
Miyu
up
love
negated
using
her
that
attack and finished her.
Gaybul gun.
We already know what time it is. We have Saber's phantasm.
Wow.
Excalibur. We
With
had
7
this
minutes
take out
left? Oh,
Jill's
Excalibur's here.
phantasmal horror. It took out Gil. It took out the White Titan Safar. Even though she wasn't the wielder, it took down the Beast of 666. It took down the Grail. Not
Oh,
just
so I'm
any
gonna pause right
weapon.
here. So with Excalibur being here at 8:03 in the video, and you got 6 minutes and 50 seconds left, what do you guys think is gonna be the best Fate Stay Night Alright.
Can do that. It took out Pegasus and Medusa at the same time. Do I really need to go on? My thing with Excalibur is that we all know that it's an extremely powerful phantasm, but we also know that it's not a phantasm that's readily available at all times. If you really look at the way that Saber fights, she actually goes out of her way to not use the Phantasm. No intentions on letting it go to waste because she knows how much it takes to deploy that Phantasm. So while it is strong, when you only have so many chances to use it, that kind of scales it back down to normal. Most of the time you see her, she's just using invisible air or propelling invisible air as a projectile. I could see if I was Richard with his Phantasm. Now his Phantasm is a godsend because while it isn't as strong, he's out here just spamming it back to back. Who really wants it? But that's not the real Excalibur though. Not to mention Bedivere, I didn't even bring that up. Bedivere has it in Camelot, Merlin has it in Babylonia. When it's just getting used for regular purposes, it's not really shown to be that great of a weapon. Like there is no reason that Darius should be able to block Excalibur with his bare hands as a human. There's no reason that that should happen. I don't care if she's just using a class card or not. It's one of those weapons where it's good until it ain't. And when it's not, trust me,
it gets way worse.
How do we tell them? While I do rock with it, not my most favorite choice in every scenario. Next up, the guy Sasuke. Pay homage and tip your hat when a real legend steps in the room. Everybody already knows how Sasuke is coming. He has his swallow reversal Phantasm where he incorporates elements of the second magic and hitting you 3 times at once in a method that's nearly unblockable. This is deadly against any close range fighter to the point where most people don't even want to see him in close range. Ku said that he didn't want to see him. Do I need to pull out Ku's resume? This is the same dude that's skilled in a plethora of martial arts, good at close range, good at far range. He has rune magecraft, and he saw Sasuke and said, you know what? I'm good on that. That should let you know something right there. He got beat by Saber the second time because, let's be honest, she had to get him out the way. Like imagine how salty the fandom would be if she went back up there a second time and got knocked down those stairs again. Oh my goodness.
Imagine.
Those would be so sick. It had to happen. When it comes to far combat, that would prove to be the issue. When it came to somebody like Gilgamesh and Ataraxia, where he had to see Gilgamesh at far range in a similar scenario to Heracles, he couldn't do anything with Gil. Gil tore him up. Then we have Emiya's main move, of course, not being a Phantasm.
Unlimited Blade Works.
That's what he has, so that's what we roll with, and that is Unlimited Blade Works. You know, we saw
Unlimited
him survive
Blade
against
Works
Herc in the Fate route, took out half of his lives. I mean, if we're being real, if Herc didn't have 12 lives,
cool going down
then
memory
Emiya
lane.
would've won. That was the only thing holding Emiya back. Is that Herc had 12 lives, yet Emiya is over here trying to strategically map out 1. You have Shiro's case, where he forced Gil into using his best weapon. Even though Gil didn't let the weapon off, he still forced him into a situation where he felt like he couldn't do anything but grab his best weapon. That's a feat in and of itself. Same thing with Angelica in Prisma Ilia. Shiro forced Angelica to pull out Aya. Granted, it took his entire vault to do so, but you have to remember, Shiro wasn't in servant form when he did this. He was in regular form and made Angelica use her Aya. Very similar to the Enkidu Gil back and forth. I think since everything about Unlimited Blade Works comes together as a unit, it's just inherently better than most things. You have 9 Lives Blade Works. You gotta remember the only reason Shiro is even able to perform this move is because of UB-Dub. So you have that. You have Kuro and Prisma Ilia using 9 lives as a shield. It heightens his close range advantage. It inherently has far range advantage because of his projections. And while it does take a lot of mana to put out, I think the fact that he can still draw access from the move without actually casting the whole spell, it feels like that offsets his drawbacks entirely. All right, so for the last one, of course, we have
my boy
Gate of Babylon. Extremely versatile Phantasm.
My boy Gil.
You can't say that Aya takes precedence over this. I just wanted to use Gate of Babylon personally because I felt like it would be more interesting. So with the Gate of Babylon, same difference as UB-Dub, except he has the prototype of every single weapon at his disposal at any time. He's got everything that you can possibly think of in his gate. He's got aircrafts, he's got submarines, nukes, spatial warping. He has the
Imagine
heart
sending
of
out a
Perseus.
nuke
And
or a
this is something
spaceship.
that I meant to put in the Don't Sleep on Gil video. The dude has the harp that can take down immortals. Same weapon that took down Gorgon. So even if you're invulnerable, that's still not gonna work. He has a faster than light defense system. He has fire, lightning, and ice. Come on, man. I think the only drawback is that he can't fight and shoot out the gate at the same time. The only time where we've really seen him do this is when he's riding on Vimana. Other than that, it's like a back and forth deal. And then there's the close range combat. You don't have to be the best at close range to stall time. The Gate of Babylon doesn't have a mana issue. So as long as he can hold the person back, they just gotta deal with it. It took a whole team of people to go against Angelica multiple times in Prisma Ilya. Same thing in Strange Fate. They practically had to jump my boy and lock his gate just to deal with him. In a circumstance where he actually uses his gate like he's supposed to, you can hardly even get in on him. Heracles couldn't get in on him. Iskander couldn't get in on him. They had to throw Saber Avalon because she got utterly destroyed the first time around. And I'm sure Ku was able to get in considering the length of their fight, but it must have not have been for long since he still lost. And that's just scratching the surface. Let me know how you guys would rank the Phantasms. Would you be able to make it work better than the people that had them?
What you guys think? In the middle was flip flop, like what do you guys have?